Please put your hands together for JFNA's very own Brian Abrahams.
Welcome to the International Lion of Judah Conference Afternoon Plenary. First, I want to have a personal thank you. This conference is unbelievably energizing for me. I get my batteries recharged just being around the 1,400 women who are here. Men, sometimes we're not as serious and diligent as we could be. And I find the interconnectedness here, the passion, the caring, and the sense of responsibility is something that really gets me excited and ready to go out for the next 2 years. One of the things that we think about as we look at the community, there's the continuity of our own actions and endowment, but there's also generational continuity. What happens with those who follow us? And today we have a remarkable pair for you to meet who represent one of the most storied families in the Federation system, one woman's deep dedication to Israel and how that played out, and the story of an Israeli entrepreneur and what she built on her own. Please join me in welcoming to the ILOJC stage, Jane Sherman and Michal Mangisto. Hi, Jane. This won't count, don't worry.
See you in 10 minutes.
At least 10 minutes, please. Come. Michal.
Good to see you. Oh, we got 25 minutes.
So Jane, one of the challenges that a lot of us are thinking about who are thinking about the community is generational continuity, as I said in the introduction. Your father, Max, launched one of the great Federation family dynasties in the country. How did your family accomplish the generational continuity that you've seen?
Well, how my father accomplished generational thing, he had at least with me, he had the foresight in 1962 to send my husband and I on a UJA Young Leadership Mission. It was the second mission.
Was your first trip to Israel?
My first trip to Israel, my husband's first trip to Israel. I was a mere 21, and we were hooked. I wanted to make Aliyah. Larry didn't, as I said. It's the only thing he's ever told me I couldn't do that I did. In 60 years, by the way. But we were hooked, and I guess my answer was that because I couldn't go on Aliyah, I wanted to do something for Israel and the Jewish people. And that's really, you know, it's not a made-up story, it's the truth.
You've spent a lifetime doing that, but let's fast forward from 1962 to not long ago. And when you first heard there were 5 orphaned Ethiopian children who needed help, what was your reaction?
Well, it was 20 years ago. And we got a call from Chaim Feingold, who at the time was chairman, head of Or Shalom, which is a foster care facility in Israel that we had been involved in. He said, I have 5 children who have lost their parents. We need to put them in a facility. I need some money to do it. So they moved them into a home with parents, their parents.
Foster parents?
Foster parents in Ma'ale Adumim. And this was in January. I went to Israel in February. My first experience of meeting these children, Maha was 12, the baby was 4, there's 5 of them. And for me, it was instant love. I don't know how Maha felt about it, the other ones, but it was instant love. I mean, I had 3 kids, I had 5 more. I always wanted to have more than 3, so now I have 8.
So Michal, what was your reaction when the first time you meet this woman who was going to give some assistance after you lost your parents?
The first time? The reality? I remember when she came, I saw her like, wow, she's such a white person. She was blonde. And I say, she's fairy tale or... And I'm so nervous, but she has good eyes. I see her, and I think I feel, again, family, and she's a good person, I have to say.
You were right. You had good judgment. And so from that beginning, you gave a special honor to Jane. Tell us what that was.
I made for her the Buna ceremony. In our culture, Buna ceremony, it's such important to honor someone special for you. And I made for her. All day I planned this, and someone told me she doesn't like coffee, but you drink it.
I drank it.
Yeah.
So Michal, let's fast forward to more recently. What inspired you to become a businesswoman and start your own line of clothing?
First of all, I think a lot of people give me a lot of things in my life. It was women's, and one of them is Jane. She gave me the confidence to be who I am, and she pushed me. And now I want to open with my skills to other personal, I think.
I have to tell you, at 13 years old, Michal told me, she came to me with some pictures of some women's with dress design. She told me at 13 years old she wanted to be a dress designer. So it was a dream that she never really believed would come true.
Yeah.
But we pushed her and it did.
So you think Jane gave you the confidence to actually do it?
She believed me. She told me, you can do it. And she gave me the opportunity to believe in myself. And I go to the Betzalel to be a student, to finish my degree.
Don't be so modest. You were the first
Okay,
Ethiopian Israeli accepted the Betzalel Academy in Design.
Yep.
And since Michal doesn't like to brag, she will be the first Ethiopian Israeli to have an exhibition in Israel's Fashion Week.
Yep.
Coming up.
I worked for this a lot.
And you
Thank
don't
you.
know, Fashion Week in Israel is bigger than it is in New York, let me tell you.
Apparently.
Yeah, will be.
But Jane set another kind of example for you as well in paying forward the gift of support and help that you were given. How has that been in your life? What has that been in your life?
Pardon?
Giving back to
that's-
doing the program.
She gave me a lot. And now my turn to change the world a little bit. And I think in Ethiopian women, it doesn't have the opportunity to be something special.
Even in Israel, it's still a pretty patriarchal, male-centered culture.
Still,
Yeah.
even we are 2019, it's still like a culture. And I took women's Ethiopian, and I teach them to embroidery, and her work I took to my collection. That's why it's like circle working, women's and me. I'm guiding to them, and I give them also, salary and to believe themselves. I believe them. The skills, I think.
Michal's volunteering. She does this volunteer. She goes one day a week to an absorption center in South Tel Aviv, and she teaches the women. She originally was teaching men and women, but they decided it wasn't for the men.
They say it's just for women.
Just for women. They just male chauvinists, And she's now, they are now part of her, will be part of her collection. But she's doing that as a volunteer.
So Michal was a groundbreaker in Israel. Jane, you were a groundbreaker. Tell me what happened when you approached what was then the Men's Young Leadership Cabinet of UJA to join.
I hope Donna Khan's in the audience. Because in 1970, she's there, 1971 or 72, I can't remember which, Donna and I and a few other women petitioned in the Hilton Hotel in New York, in the hallways, the Men's Young Leadership Cabinet to put women on it. We walked around with placards. They had an executive committee.
You were protesting?
We were protesting. Well, the executive committee, and I can tell you who was on the executive committee.
Let's not do names. Let's not do names.
Some children in this room turned us down. So 2 years later, Irving Bernstein, who was the exec of UJA at the time, came to me and a few other women and asked us to start a young women's leadership cabinet. And we started the cabinet, and today, I guess they're kind of joined. They still do some things separate, but they began to understand the importance of women in the Jewish world, in the Jewish philanthropic world. And so that was quite exciting.
And look what you've seen in your lifetime from having to protest at a UJ meeting to this incredible room.
Well, we always had these incredible women. They were around, and the women's division was around in 1973. So this is great that we now have 1,400 women sitting in the room. The men should have understood it long before we did.
Really?
So Michal, Jane and her family's the Sherman family engagement with your family immediately began as support and some small things, but eventually crossed the line into something. It became family at some point. Tell me about that.
She doesn't play it, and me neither. Because when you lost something, you're a tough guy, a tough kid, and she entered in my heart. And Sherman family, it's part of me. And I think she's mother for me. She's the second mother. I call her like Safta, but she's mother.
I just want to tell you, there's 4 others at home, like Michal, not like her. She's a star. We the same. We have the youngest is now in engineering school. He's 6'4" and goes with a blonde, blue-eyed Austrian Jewish girl. We have the next one, Almaz, is on channel 13. She was the first Ethiopian announcer on Israeli television, and she's also a singer. The next daughter is she's now graduated from the IDC with a degree in economics. She's an expert in Chinese, and she's now working for an Israeli company in China and perfecting her Chinese. And the eldest son was a finalist and survivor, in Israel. So we're very proud of all of them as well. But these five children are part of what I said. I meant it. We have 3. Larry and I have 3 children. I have a daughter-in-law and a daughter here today. They're both lines of Judah. They've both been involved in the Jewish community. In fact, all our kids are. But our 5 Mangisto children are Sherman Mangisto children. They're all part of our family.
And they've inspired your children and grandchildren.
All our children, all our grandchildren are involved. We take trips together. They come to visit. By the way, my grandson is on the Young Leadership Cabinet. I had to get a plug-in for the Young Leadership, even though it was the men's.
Yeah.
But we visit with them, and they come to visit us all the time.
Join me in honoring these 2 women who are both changing the world.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
Beautiful job.
Oh.
That was beautiful.